Welcome to the SBR NHL Double Play, the Play of the Day video for Tuesday, January 21st. This is our final show before the All-Star break, which commences on Thursday. So after today, we'll be back next Tuesday for our next edition of the Play of the Day video. So this is it for us until next week after the break. Tuesday card with 5 games to choose from. Of course, a lighter Tuesday card. A lot of teams are already on the break as of right now, so that's why we're dealing with a smaller number of games today. Joined as always by Adam Booth as we are here for our SBR NHL Play of the Day video. Reminder, check out all the SBR NHL content on a daily basis by visiting sbrvideo.com/NHL. You'll find Adam Booth's articles there. You'll find Jimmy Murphy's NHL articles there, and a bunch of great NHL betting content for you to look at and hopefully learn something from and hopefully profit from at the end of the day. All right, Adam, and this is kind of ridiculous here are we really talking about an Islanders-Rangers game again? It seems like these teams have played like a million times the last 2 weeks. Here we go again. I think this is honestly the third meeting between these two teams within the last week to 2 weeks. I mean, it has been obviously they've loaded the month of January with a bunch of these Rangers-Islanders rivalry games. We have another one tonight with the New York Rangers hosting the New York Islanders at Madison Square Garden, courtesy of SBRodds.com. Make sure you're using SBRodds.com every day for the best betting odds screen out there, and as well to get the best line and price with all of your wagers. We've got the New York Rangers about even money, -110 on both sides in this game. The total 6 shaded to the under currently. And the New York Islanders have been a little bit befuddled by this Rangers team. The Rangers won both of the meetings earlier this month when they faced the Islanders, and you got to give them credit. They basically beat the Islanders at their own game. They out-defended the New York Islanders. Hard to believe when you're talking about a New York Rangers team that has been pretty Civ-like at the defensive end of the ice most of the season, but played very well in the 2 victories against the New York Islanders. They fell short the other night against Columbus, that battle of pretty red-hot teams right now. Columbus and New York. Rangers will be looking to bounce back from that. The Islanders just in an ugly, ugly way right now, just struggling mightily. The epic worst part of this losing streak that they've been on definitely was Saturday afternoon against the Washington Capitals, seeing a 4-1 lead in the third period evaporate, a lead that you're usually thinking pretty safe with a team as defensively disciplined as the New York Islanders. That was not the case on Saturday. They lose 6-4 to the Washington Capitals. They play Carolina the next night, battled them, but they end up losing in a shootout. So it's just been a really rough struggle for Barry Trotz's team. Adam thinks the struggles might continue tonight. Adam liking the Rangers. Adam, tell us about it.
You've absolutely done the great synopsis there of the situation about, how the Islanders have been here. Again, I mean, why are the Rangers priced here? Why is it not a, -110 each way? This is the due date game. This is the Islanders who, got 60 points already this year, although half of them were between, the games 10 and 30 of the season or whatever. It was October, November when they put together that amazing streak. We were talking about, how consistent they've been, how they look like last year. Trotz, give them the Jack Adams trophy, all that stuff. And I mean, you talk about the Washington game. There's a game where they're dogs at home against the Caps, and they have a 4-1 lead going to the third, and then we see an epic collapse. And, then they rebound again. They play a better game against Carolina in Raleigh, but, come out on the short end of that shootout or whatever it was. But this team, I think it's best shown in these games against the Rangers. I mean, the first one we talked about last week, I think, because I think Detroit, the Islanders were my play of the day last Tuesday for this show. We had them on the puck line, and I just commented that, Trott's a good coach. I'll have him ready for the next game. And sure enough, we saw an 8-2 stomping. But then we have more problems later in the week again. And so the Islanders team is just they're streaky. Through games 30 to 45 or whatever we're at here, almost 50. They're put together a few wins, then they look ugly on the defensive end. It's a hard team to get a figure of, and I don't agree with the pricing whatsoever. And, Tomo says Rangers likely looking ahead last game against Columbus, and they think they come out strong. Yeah, I mean, it's perhaps when you've got a cross-city rival like the Islanders, and they're playing good hockey, you could look past a Jackets team. I thought the Rangers actually played pretty well for most of the game. It was the first time this season that they let a 2-period lead slip with a goal in the final 30 seconds there. So yeah, they could have been looking past more so to the point. It's the price here that I like the Rangers for. Yes, the Islanders could be due for finally getting a few more lucky bounces, but I think the Rangers will be in the game in the third period, and for the plus money at home with some time off too. It's just a great price. So I have them at, what was it, 54% today, and at this number you have to take them. You can't hesitate. So slight home dogs, that's been a nice little spot that we've got a lot of these teams in, and we got the Wild on Saturday with a similar spot. So I'm not hesitating too much. I do think that the Islanders are bound to probably get a win or two here, maybe. But again, it's right before the All-Star break. They've played a lot of games recently. So there's not too much to make me think about going the other way here, which is kind of always the surefire sign that just don't overthink it and go with the home team and the value. So that's my angle here. I think they said Gorgiev is starting. He's been slightly better than Lundqvist all season. I think
every goalie with the Rangers has been slightly better than Lundqvist.
That's a good point. The other point, though, I think he started both the last two games. I can't recall, but he's got a good save percentage against them. And so, again, it's not that he's a lock to make sure that they win. It's just saying, him being in the net is another sort of quantifiable thing that we could say, well, I wouldn't go against the Rangers because Gorgiev's in net. So, yeah, I mean, Ian, did you take a look at this one? What did you think? Actually, hold on. We've seen some line movement. I don't know are they still priced where they were?
No, they're about more even money. I know you got plus 102. And again, these prices.
There we go. Yeah.
These prices that you're seeing with our plays of the day, they're what we bet. Okay? That's why we always have to apprise you of what the current number is. Because you're right, plus 102 is what Adam bet on his, plus 170, we'll get to mine in a second, is what I bet with my play. There's always a little fluctuation. There could be anyway, in terms of what's available now. It looks like minus
it's a pick 'em right now. Yeah. So you can get minus 105 at Bet Online, Pinnacle, 5 dimes, and they have the reduced margins, but if you're at a book with a 10-cent line, then you can still get it, pick them both ways. So, but I have them at 53.54, which means that's still value. So you won't say, okay, well now I can't take it, even though we've had 9 cents of movement. Right as I say that, Bet365 moves it down to 1.87. Minus 115. So maybe don't wait too long if you are thinking of taking the Rangers, but I do think, I don't want to say that the Islanders as a dog won't win this either. I mean, it's still a very 53% when you've got 46-47. That's still very, very close. And that 3-2 game that they just played, that's more of what I expect tonight than a 6-2 anomaly. So just keep that in mind. But enough about mine, Ian. You have the more interesting play today with the big road dog. So let's hear about yours.
Yeah, this is the time of year where the final day or two, the final game essentially for teams before the All-Star break, I really try to play the Dr. Fraser Crane role. You have to try to and get inside the heads of these teams. Where's the mindset? What's the thinking going into the break? For the Carolina Hurricanes, it's a team that obviously is coming off a win. Let's tee it up first. It's Winnipeg, Carolina. Carolina minus 185. Home favorites here. Total 6 shaded to the under. Carolina's at home. They're coming off a win against the New York Islanders. An emotional game. An exciting environment with the return of Justin Williams. of course, making his season debut with the Carolina Hurricanes in that win. They're happy to have him. He's been with the team for many seasons in the past, and he comes back and he actually scores the shootout winner for the Carolina Hurricanes in the victory against the New York Islanders. So it was a momentous day. It was a momentous game. And now you're coming back. You're playing your final game. Not that they're going to be flat or not that they're not going to want to win the game, but it's not going to be that utmost sense of urgency, I think, for the Carolina Hurricanes, for a team that, let's be honest, is still hurt significantly by the loss of Dougie Hamilton. With the season he had on the blue line for this group, not only his play in defensively, but obviously the point production he was given this team from the blue line. It was absolutely a difference maker for them. And you've seen them in 2 games without him. It hasn't been necessarily a pretty picture for the Carolina Hurricanes. They lost to Anaheim at home, which is a really bad loss when you think of it. And when you think of the fact the Ducks have had just incredible struggles on the road all season long. And then, of course, you have the loss against the you have the win against the New York Islanders on Sunday. But again, the game was right there hanging in the balance. And to me, I'm seeing that Carolina's having a harder time generating that north-south transition game, getting the rushes started, getting the offense flowing, getting that offense from the back end. There's a lot more that the forwards have to do, a little bit more of a cycle attack, and it's a product of Dougie Hamilton being out of the lineup here for this Carolina Hurricanes team. So, Carolina was talking about basically the ecstasy and the euphoria of having Justin Williams back, getting a win for him in his first game. I'm not going to say for sure they fall flat tonight, but it sounds like there's a team that could be somewhat flat coming off that game. Now, the reason why Winnipeg is plus 170 in this game is because they're playing awful hockey. I can't sugarcoat it, about how poorly it's been for the Winnipeg Jets the last 2 games. 12-2, they get outscored in their last 2 games by Chicago and Tampa Bay. However you look at it, Tampa Bay's had a great, last month. They've played fantastic hockey, and Chicago's playing great hockey right now. Let's give the Blackhawks credit. They pasted Toronto, pasted Winnipeg. So the Jets losing are their bad losses. They didn't play well in those games. Totally understand that and fully get it. But, they played Tampa when they're playing well and Chicago when they're playing well. So it's 2 teams in good form at the right time, which means, yes, they're bad losses. Yes, you reprimand them for those losses, but you don't absolutely, criticize them and penalize them too much for those losses. And speaking of losses, injury loss for Winnipeg, and a big one is Adam Lowry, obviously out for the next month. Definitely going to hurt. We talk about a guy that's a great 2-way player for this team. Great, physical presence, good on the penalty kill. Definitely will miss that defensive presence for him. Definitely a concern not only tonight but moving forward. But, in a 1-game situation before the break, this is one of those games where you can – I think the entire group collectively can step up, in the absence of Lowry and some of the other injuries they're doing. And Paul Maurice sort of, I don't want to say called out the team, but and Blake Wheeler kind of did as well after the Chicago, but saying, we need to start putting some wins on the board. We need to go into this break with some momentum. It is this next game we've got to treat like a playoff game, is actually the quote Blake Wheeler used, talking about this game, of course, tonight, Carolina, Winnipeg's last game before the break. I don't know if I'm getting Carolina fully focused based on what we saw Sunday. That was a big game with Justin Williams' return. But I think I'm getting focused, and I'm getting intensity, and I'm getting desperation, I'm getting urgency from Winnipeg tonight, because they don't want to go into this break with another loss. This is still a capable hockey team. I know defensively it's been a mess. Connor Hellebuck's kind of regressed after a strong start to the season, but this is still an offensively potent hockey team. And they're always going to be in games because of that offense. They're always going to be in games with that ability to score goals with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler and Patrick Laine and Kyle Connor, and go on down the list. This is a lot of game breakers offensively on this Winnipeg team. And then you go back and look at the way they've played Carolina. They'd actually beaten Carolina in 4 straight games before. Prior to the meeting earlier this season in Winnipeg, Carolina won that game 6-3, but Winnipeg's matched up very well with Carolina. They've won in each of their last 2 visits to Raleigh, to Carolina against the Hurricanes. They beat them in Carolina last year. They beat them in Carolina 2 years ago. And I think you get a sense of urgency. We got to stop the bleeding now. We're out on the outside looking in now. These 2 losses have put Winnipeg, by the way, on the outside looking in when it comes to the Western Conference playoff picture. I think this is one of those games where whatever resembles an A game or close to it from Winnipeg, I'm pretty confident you're going to see something like close to it tonight in this game. They realize they got to stop the bleeding and try to go on into this break with a win. And another thing, too, these teams that are going into the break, I find the teams that are playing at home are a little bit more distracted than the teams on the road.
Especially that way, oddly,
yeah. And
right.
the teams going on the road, this is a business trip for Winnipeg. They're not. I don't think they're screwing around tonight. They're going on the road. They get away from family, people close to them, and they can focus on the task at hand. And the task at hand is snapping the ugly 2-game losing streak they've just had and getting back in the win column and playing a good, sound 60 minutes of hockey. Certainly, the Lowry loss hurts, and maybe Carolina hurts them on the power play specifically with that absence of Adam Lowry. But I think Winnipeg rallies. Paul Maurice has said, got to be better. The captain, Blake Wheeler, has said we got to be better. And they were 2 bad losses, blowout losses, we know. But again, Tampa Bay and Chicago, the 2 teams that Winnipeg lost to, in very good form right now. Carolina's been, let's be honest, Carolina had lost, 3 or 4 in a row before beating the Islanders. So, and that Islander was narrowly in a shootout. Could have went either way. So I think we get a close game here either way, coin flip outcome. And you're going to give me plus 170 with the team that I think is focused, intense, urgency, urgent. That Foreigner song from the 80s? Urgent, emergency, urgent. It's urgent time for Winnipeg.
I think we found our intro song there.
I think so. But I think urgency steps up for Winnipeg tonight. And I think they're live to win this game at a nice price. So I'm going big dog hunting. Winnipeg plus 170 for my play of the day.
I haven't... According to my numbers, I didn't find value on the line, but I would play the Jets money line if I was picking a side here, just for what you said. This is 2 teams that have been in a bit of a rut. Why would you want to lay the chalk in that spot? And someone else in the chat just mentioned, the Jets score in the last outing in Chicago. Played against a team that's just running hot right now with Chicago. I didn't think the Jets played a bad game. They were less efficient, I think is the best way to put it. And then the game just got a bit away from them. Patty Kane gets his 1,000th point of his career. How can you not be hyped for that as a Hawks fan? So, I haven't made a play on this one yet. I'm going to look at it further. It'll probably be Jets or pass for me. Maybe I'll look at the under as well, because let's face it, if it gets too high scoring, it's the defense on the Jets that are slow and they've been good at times this year. Hellebuck though has mostly stood on his head. I find it a bit of a tricky game, but I think the value is with the Jets just by the eye test. So agree with you there, Ian. And I was just going to mention before we sign off, as Ian said at the beginning of the show, the SBR video .com/NHL, you can go and read all the articles there. My 2 article plays are already up on the site, the New York Rangers money line and a total in the Philly and Penguins game tonight. So go have a check of that one. And Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. And Tom Marino in the chat, he actually made a really good point about the Jets being better. They are better on the road than at home. They absolutely are. There's no question. They've been, 14 and 11, I believe, on the road. Let me just double check that, and then we'll sign off. Yeah, 14 and 11 on the road, and they're just 11 and 13 at home. So they actually have been a better road team this year, the Winnipeg Jets. They've been more comfortable. It's hard to explain Winnipeg and Montreal, how they've struggled, both of those teams at home so much, because they got great environments, great, crowd support. The crowds are usually loud in both of those buildings, but unfortunately, it hasn't translated in wins for either of those 2 teams when playing on home ice. So definitely something to keep in mind. By the way, here's a good trend. Following a loss this year, Winnipeg 15-8 overall, but 8-2 when they're on the road following a loss. 8-2 on the road following a loss.
80% probability to win today, right?
That's exactly. Plus 170. Again, they've won 4 of the last 5 against Carolina. Last 2 in Carolina. Winnipeg has won both of them. So, again, I thought a live underdog here. So, to recap, Adam, New York Rangers plus 102 against the New York Islanders. Winnipeg plus 170 against Carolina for me for our plays of the day for Tuesday, January 21st. And with that, we're out. we're out till after the All-Star break. We will be back with you next Tuesday, January 28th, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, the next edition of the SBR NHL Play of the Day video. For Adam Booth, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Good luck with your wagers. Enjoy the All-Star break. We'll be back with you a week from today for the Play of the Day.